All right, Jordan Jones from goldenblack.com here. It is TBT week for the Men of Mackey here in 2022, opening up on Sunday night against Mid-America Unity. I've got Robbie Hummel here with me. Robbie, it's game week. How are we feeling ahead of this year's TBT?
Pretty good. A little older, a year older. But I'm looking forward to it. I got to see the games in Cincinnati last night, and there's definitely a really cool energy around this event. Get to play with some of your college teammates, get to meet some new people. I think the Elam ending is awesome. There's some really cool quirks to TBT. But I think the best part is the relationship aspect, getting back together with guys you played with, and getting to see some people. And, last year we had a great time. So I'm looking forward to it again this year.
Yeah, one of the cool parts of this roster is that, you've got Ryan Smith coaching and yourself, Lewis Jackson, and Kelsey Barlow. All four of you guys played together at Purdue. What's that kind of like, getting the band back together? Because I'm sure you guys stay in touch, but obviously don't get together in person all that often with how busy you all
especially
are.
with COVID kind of having happened in the last couple of years. You didn't get to see people nearly as much. So I think because of that, you really cherish the times that you do get to spend with some of those guys, because, whether it's Kelsey, Ryan, Lewis, whoever, you ate together, we practiced together, we went on the road, we were just always together. And then all of a sudden college ends and that stops. So it is good to kind of get back together with the old teammates. I have to say the class of 2012 is doing a good job representing for TBT. We got to get some other classes now, like class of 11. And maybe like 16 and 17 and 18, some younger guys. But it's hard because I know the guys that are playing overseas, your summer's short. Like my last year playing, I got home from Russia, I think June 17th. And now they're wanting guys to go back the first week of August. So I understand where guys are like, I just don't want to give up a week or 2 weeks in the summer. It's too valuable. And I understand that.
Talk a little bit. You've played overseas and played professionally for a long time. What's it like getting back on the court with Lewis and Kelsey for the first? I know you guys played together last year. What was that like a little bit?
It was like riding a bike. I mean, you know each other so well. Now, I will say early on in these TBT games, they can look a little raggedy because you haven't had time to practice together and get to know, I guess, especially the new guys that you haven't ever played with. But, there's a real comfort there with guys like Lewis, Kelsey, guys that I've played with and played a lot of games with, especially Lewis Jackson, because we played a ton. Kelsey, because I was hurt, we didn't maybe get as much time together as we would have, but it's been fun to see the improvements that Kelsey has made on his game as he's become a pro and played. I was really impressed with the way he played last year. And with Lewis, he's going to be a guy that can just get you the ball in places where you can score. He's a big time point guard. He was so fast in college, and I think with age, you maybe lose a little bit of that, but he's still really, really quick. And I'm looking forward to seeing those guys here in a couple of days.
I've talked to both Ryan Smith and Kyle Mangus recently, and they've talked about kind of the challenges of getting the team together with kind of the Purdue guys and the non-Purdue guys and trying to gel that chemistry together really on the fly with, knowing that even your first game could be your last. What's that like, trying to get that chemistry together really quickly?
Yeah, I mean, you got to get to know the guys that aren't Purdue guys really quick and find where they, how they play, where they like to score. I think we're going to practice for 2 days and then just, roll the balls out. And but it's a part of being a pro. You have to adapt to things that are kind of outside of your control. This is the way it is. We've got our couple of days here in Dayton, and then we'll play our game. And I just think that you have to really make a concerted effort to not just hang out with the guys and that's hard because you want to talk to those guys and you like catching up. The stories can start flowing, and you don't want to make the guys that aren't necessarily the guys that were there that aren't Purdue guys. You don't want to make them feel alienated. You want them to feel like they're a part of the team as well. So it's certainly something you have to go and make an effort to do, and we'll be sure to do that.
This is your second year. Obviously, you played with Men of Mackey last year. Talk about that experience last year, and what about TBT got you wanting to come back again this year?
I played last year because I had such a bad taste in my mouth from the Olympic qualifying tournament for 3-on-3. And Ryan was really working on me and finally just, got me to play. To be honest with you, it's really fun to feel the adrenaline rush of playing a game that's on national television. And it feels important. And I think that's something that I struggled with when I went overseas was, even though you might be playing a team like Real Madrid or Chesca or Barcelona, who are, those are the best teams in Europe, you were playing on Galician TV. None of my friends could watch. My parents would, subscribe to the ACB Spanish all access pass, so they'd watch. But, it's different from when you're playing at Purdue and you're like, we're playing Michigan State on CBS. If we win, it will lead SportsCenter tonight. Like that feels important. And this is not that magnitude, but it does, people, your friends get to watch it. It feels different. And we were really fortunate in Columbus last year. We had a great Purdue contingency that came and watched. And then because it was in Columbus, we played Ohio State, the atmosphere in the second game was awesome. I wish we would have played a little bit better, but it was a great environment. It was really fun. I just had a really good time. So when they asked me this year, it was a pretty easy decision.
You hinted at it a little bit earlier when you talked about the Elam ending, but with TBT, with that Elam ending, you've played probably thousands of basketball games at this point, but I presume most of them have a traditional clock ending format.
Yeah, right. Or all of them,
yeah.
except for two.
Talk about the Elam ending a little bit and how it changes the game and the way it's played.
Well, it just adds an extra layer of pressure. I think last year our game against Tennessee is a great example where we're up by 12 or 14 points. In any normal game, we make a couple free throws, get a stop or two, and it's just run the clock out. The game would be over. But because of the Elam ending, we missed some shots. Tennessee made a couple. That 14-point lead goes to like 6 or 7. And now it's like, we got to score. We got to win the game. And it makes it more like a tennis match. You don't see anybody in tennis just running the clock out. You have to win the last point. And I think that's kind of the cool part of that sport. And even though I love the game of basketball, the endings can be a little bit anticlimactic because unless you're, coming down to the last possession, it's going to be a free throw shooting contest, which isn't nearly as exciting as a game winner. The Elam ending guarantees you get a game winner. So I think it's a great thing. I think it's made the NBA All-Star game infinitely better. And I think it's a really cool part of the TBT that makes it unique. Now, do I think that it can make its way into the NBA or college basketball? That'd be a pretty radical departure. Like you'd be making a huge change. And I just think there's probably too many people who would look at it as, I don't want to call them purists because this would be like a crazy change, but it would be a massive change from what we have now. So I would say the answer to that is probably no, that won't happen. But I think for this event, it's awesome.
Watching college basketball all winter, it seems like you're in a different gym in a different time zone almost every night of the week. How do you kind of stay in playing shape and keep your game sharp when you're so busy during basketball season?
Well, I don't. That's the answer to that question. This is something that this next year I need to be better about is definitely making sure I get a workout in, even if it's like 40 minutes, just go downstairs. But I was doing 4 and 5 games a week this year, which is a lot, the most I've ever done. And I always felt like I could be doing something else prep wise. So I will say I played some 3-on-3 overseas this summer, and the first couple of tournaments was like, whoa, I really need to get on it. Now I feel better now, but I'm going to have to make a concerted effort to really be like, you got to work out. It's not even just for playing. This could be my last year for sure, but just from a health standpoint. So it's a challenge, but I think it's something that you have to prioritize.
Absolutely. So you've played a little 3-on-3. You're doing TBT, obviously, with Men of Mackey. Any other playing plans this summer before you get back into broadcasting this winter?
I'll play a few more 3-on-3 events. We played in Japan in a suburb of Tokyo back in May in the World Tour final and got second. And then we went to Serbia and played, and then I just got back actually from Germany and France. We were playing over there, got second in France and got fifth in Germany. I think we lost maybe the worst game of our careers in the quarterfinals. So, but the wind was crazy. It was like 30, you were shooting curveballs. It was like 30-mile-an-hour winds. That definitely plays against our team with our shooters. But I'll play in a few more. I don't know how many more. I know I'm done until at least the middle of August playing because I have some other commitments to do. But I know there's an event in Taiwan that would be cool. I know there's one in Puerto Rico. I always enjoy playing down there. There'll be a few more, but I just don't know. So we'll figure that out. And, this is definitely my last year of playing 3-on-3 though. I think exhausted that. It's been a really cool thing. I've gotten to see the world and travel. But the travel aspect of it is hard, flying internationally to play a guaranteed of 20 minutes of basketball. And if you advance, you could play 50 minutes of basketball. That's hard. It's a lot, but it's been awesome. So I'm very thankful for it.
Certainly had a good run with it. I guess to kind of close out here, what are some of your goals, expectations, and hopes as you get ready for Sunday's game against Mid-America Unity?
Yeah, I mean, for our team, I think take it one game at a time. I think a good goal for us is to try to advance further than we did last year and keep kind of building. There's some really good teams out there. I like our roster. I think it's a little different from last year, but certainly to gel together, play the right way is always something that I think is important. And for myself, if I'm setting any individual goals, I'd say just make some shots. that'd be good. Just to make some threes. That's a good goal.
There you go. Any last notes, comments, things you want the Purdue fans that are watching and listening to know?
No, I think we covered it all.
Awesome. That's Robbie Hummel getting ready for TBT on Sunday against Mid-America Unity. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me today, Robbie.
Of course. Thanks for having me, Jordan.